We now want to go to law enforcement officials who are giving an update on the hospital shooting.
Very new and very limited. At 16:52, 4:52 hours, our dispatch received a call of an active shooter at the Natalie Medical Building at 6457 South Yale Avenue. We had officers arrive at the location at 4:56, so a 3-minute response time, and make contact with victims and the suspect at 5:01. And that was them making their way to the second floor. The officers that did arrive were hearing shots in the building, and that's what directed them to the second floor. Right now, we have 4 civilians that are dead. We have 1 shooter that is dead, and right now we believe that is self-inflicted. Officers have not been interviewed, but we're certain that's a self-inflicted gunshot wound on his part. The scene is fairly limited to one section of that floor on the second floor. And officers are currently, and detectives interviewing witnesses that were throughout the building, and especially those on the second floor. No officers were injured. We have a reunification center set up at Memorial High School in the auditorium on the north end of Memorial High School for families that may have had somebody in this building at the time and have not been able to make contact. That is a location they can check in with for information. Right now, the suspect, we do not have an identity. That we believe we're getting close on the identity of the suspect. He is a black male, estimated to be 35 to 40 years old, and we have confirmed he had 1 long gun, a rifle, and 1 handgun on the scene at the time. That's what I have, and I will turn it over to.
Can we confirm?
I'll come back for those questions.
Okay, thank you.
What was yours?
Well, you said 5 people total dead.
Yes, 4 innocents, 1 shooter.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm Dr. Cliff Robertson. I'm the CEO of the St. Francis Health System. And as you can imagine, we're an organization that believes in the power of prayer, and there is nothing more this community could do for us than to pray for the families and the loved ones and the victims of this senseless act. I can't stand here and not thank the first responders in this city. I mean, look around us. The response has been incredible, and I don't know that I've truly understood just how important our first responders can be and are every day. There will obviously be many questions, and there will be a very bumpy road, I think, ahead of us. But there are over 10,000 people that are part of the St. Francis Health System that every day commit their lives to taking care of people in need, taking care of everyone in need. And this senseless, horrible, incomprehensible act is not going to change that.
I want to start by echoing Dr. Robertson's comments. This campus is sacred ground for our community. For decades, this campus has been a place where people have come to work, heroes have come to work every day to save the lives of people in our community. Just in the last few years, in the greatest public health crisis that our city has ever had to face, this has been the facility more than any other that has worked to save the lives of people in this city. I have been out here to this campus repeatedly as mayor when our first responders have been attacked and when one of them was murdered. And it was the people who worked at this campus who were there for them. So I know, because I know Tulsa, I know there are so many people out there right now that want to know what you can do to support the people at St. Francis Health System in the midst of this tragedy. I don't have one thing for you right now. I would ask for you to think about what the St. Francis Health System and the people that work there mean to our community, what they mean to you and your family and your neighbors, the heroes who protect you. Think about what they mean to you, and think about in your own way what you can do to show your support for them in the midst of this tragedy. I also want to express our community's profound gratitude for the broad range of first responders who did not hesitate today to respond to this act of violence. The men and women of the Tulsa Police Department did not hesitate, and when you look around today, you see personnel from federal law enforcement, the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, the Tulsa Fire Department, EMSA. They are all here to provide the support and their own skill set that they can bring to support the people who work on this campus. And all of us in Tulsa have a responsibility to do the same. Thank you. We'll turn it back to Chief Daglish for any questions that you might have.
Mayor, while you're up there, could we get your response? I mean, we're now in a club of cities that had to deal with something like this. What is your response to what happened here?
Right now, my thoughts are with the victims in here, many of whose families don't even know about this yet. So if we want to have a policy discussion, that is something to be had in the future, but not tonight. Not tonight.
Do we know if the victims were employees of the hospital or patients?
From what we do know, it could be a combination both of employees and visitors.
Do we know if he was a patient?
We do not.
With everything that's happened recently, was he wearing body armor?
Not that I'm aware of. That has not been mentioned.
Chief, you said he had two weapons with him, a pistol of some sort and a long gun. Do we know which weapon or both weapons? What did he use, or do we know that yet?
It appears both weapons at one point or another were fired on the scene.
Do we have any reason to believe he was targeting anybody specifically?
We don't have that yet. Investigators, the building not long before we came down here was officially secured, and homicide and crime scene detectives were just making their way in. So all of the investigation and investigative portions and those types of questions are just getting looked into right now.
Can you talk about what's on that second floor?
I don't have the, there is an orthopedic center, an orthopedic office there, but I'm unaware of if that occupies the whole floor or if there are other offices on the floor.
Do we know if that's where this happened, in that orthopedic center?
At least part of the same.
Is everybody, cleared out of the closets, the cubbies, and
Yeah, they've gone floor to floor, office to office, and has gathered keys from St. Francis and have essentially cleared. And we utilize officers from those other agencies as well to help get that job done. There was one witness, potential victim, that was found late in the process, locked in a closet. So worth their efforts to make sure that was very methodically done.
How long was this shooter active from the first shot to him inflicting a wound on himself?
There was a 3-minute response, so I don't know how long the call took to come in, but it appears as though the whole thing was a 4-minute or so time span from the time it came in to the time officers made contact, 4 to 5 minutes.
And all the gunfire occurred in that same area on the second floor, as far as we know?
The best we believe right now.
Do we know who called?
I do not.
After everything that happened last week, was active shooter training refreshed on y'all's mind? And this was just almost second nature for you?
Yeah, I think that's probably fresh on everyone's minds. I will say Tulsa revisits that topic regularly. So I was very happy with what we know so far regarding the response of our officers. And as the mayor mentioned, the citizens of Tulsa, I think, should be proud. This parking lot was difficult to get to for some of those officers who were here just minutes after it came in. It was difficult due to the amount of cars that had responded from all sides of town. And then federal agencies, I believe every federal agency is represented here. Light Horse are here. I've been contacted by surrounding sheriff's offices, Sheriff Regalado, Sheriff Chris Elliott, offering to help cover calls for service while we dealt with the scene. So the response, I cannot overstate how proud I am of the area response to this incident.
Do you believe he acted alone?
We're going to have a press conference tomorrow.
Yep.
We're still unpacking a lot of this. We can ask questions all night.
I've got a question for Dr. Robertson. If that's okay.
If you want to answer the question, so you can, or else we can wait till tomorrow.
We don't know. We are still trying to confirm his identity, and the intelligence and the investigative side will take off after that.
Do we know if there's any
There'll be no more
connection
questions
to-
today. We'll have a press conference tomorrow. We'll get you all the information you need. Thank you.
Yes.
You've been listening to authorities give an update on the shooting at a Tulsa, Oklahoma hospital that left 4 people dead. Police say the gunman also took his own life.